Yes, guys, it's another episode of Fight Talk Live. It's Danny Glover. It's Base the Kid. You know where it is. How you doing this evening, man?
Yo, what's going on, people? What's going on? Myself and Mr. DG himself, Danny Glover, aka. I won't call him the Great because I don't want to get his head any bigger than it already is. But yeah, no, we here. Shout out to October Red. She is actually celebrating with family today, so many happy returns to her and the family. So yeah, it's us two for today, but she will be back next week, and she is quite excited to do so. But before we get to that, so this one ultimately it was a bit impromptu, like we didn't 100% schedule it, but there was enough on this weekend that we felt it was necessary to talk about. And in sort of true fashion, and myself who likes to do a lot of the captions, I called this one I was ultimately like hard prospects. And the main thing of that is just due to there was a lot of prospects on different cards, some to varying degrees of success than others. Some got thrown in the deep end, some sank, some swam. Um, but everyone learned and probably learned something valuable. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, Danny, how you been?
Yeah, man, I've been good, working a lot of hours this week, so a bit tired, like leg wise, but other than that, yeah, it's been all right, Good week of boxing, for where it is, domestic, um, and as you said, prospects. It's a good title. So yeah, I think this was a good reason for us to do the live, man, and
Fair
also
dues.
quite a bit of news throughout the week as we've seen as well.
I'll tell you what. Before we even get into like all of the prospects and even the championship bouts that we had, let's just go through some of that news throughout the week, which you've got a bit more of insight on than I have for some of it because I've been keeping very low key. But yeah, let the people know what's taking your eye.
Yeah. So what's taken my eye in particular, a few things. First of all, at the beginning of the week, there was rumors of Moses Italma fighting Pulev, um, but then subsequently the IBA, they came out with a news bulletin that it will be Murat Gassiev who will be fighting um, Pulev for his WBA. I believe it's a regular title, um, out in Russia. So yeah, Moses will have to wait. I know Moses is due out in December. They're still trying to find an opponent for him. But as we know, Murat Gassiev, his last most notable opponent was against Otto Wallin out in Turkey, and he lost that very comprehensively on points. But he is a power puncher, and Pulev is an old man at 45 and some change. Um, so yeah, that's an interesting one for sure. What's your have you did you manage to catch any of that?
Yeah, I noticed it. Obviously, I don't know the full rulings of how they've come around to the decision, but the first part of that, which I kind of noticed, was that obviously Michael Hunter is now out of the contention for the actual fight for the regular title. Because it was supposed to be essentially, it was almost like two semi-finals. You had you had Fabio Wardley, and obviously whomever he was going to fight, which obviously turned out to be Joseph Parker, and then um, you had Pulev and Michael Hunter, and then the winners were supposed to then come together to decide who would inherit the throne should Usyk decide to vacate the belt. Don't know how that's all kind of played out now, and how that sort of become as is. But then we heard about Moses Atuma taking on Pulev for that regular title for that spot. To possibly get the crack afterwards in the consolidation bout. But now through the IBA, they've spoke about Murat Gassiev getting in there instead. Um, a guy's been unfortunately plagued with a lot of injuries, especially over the last few years. But still very young. I mean, it's crazy to believe that he's younger than Caballero. He's younger than Parker. Um, even though he's been around for quite a while, I think he's still only 32. So if he can get the sort of the injury stuff out of the way, then he's definitely got some interesting prospects um, coming up. So yeah, I mean, look, Moses has got to wait, but that's fine. Moses needs other he needs other opportunities, and he needs sort of more fights. He needs more development fights, which I know we say, if you're good enough, you're old enough, and all of that. But I definitely feel that we do need at least a couple fights against some stiff opposition that will definitely either be able to take him the rounds or be able to um, tough it out in sort of the first half of the fight, and then sort of make him have to think about things and put him into a little bit of trouble in the second half of bouts, to see how he manages that. Because the first couple of times we saw it, especially the Doboshenko fight, he looked a little he looked a little bit forlorn of ideas. So he's obviously come on a lot since then, leaps and bounds, but it would be good just to sort of get a gauge before we keep him at the world level right now. Since the Mike Tyson thing's over, there's no rush for that. But yeah, Gassiev and Pulev, I'm not gonna lie, yes, Pulev's got a great jab, but outside of that, there's nothing else that he does that's special, and I think Gassiev would even walk through the jab, and all he's got to do is land once, and it will be an issue. Pulev can't box and move, so he's gonna try roughhouse tactics, and that's not really gonna benefit him against someone like Gassiev. But I'll definitely watch it.
Yeah, but I agree with you what you're saying about the Moses Itorma thing. A lot of people, but what do you know what it is? I think people want him to go against people like Sanchez and these type of guys in bad faith. It's because what it is, some people are just bad vibes in boxing, and they want to have a reason. So they say, oh, because he's turned down the Sanchez fight. Oh, you've turned down Sanchez. Who are you going to fight next? You need to step it up. When if he loses, oh, who was the matchmaker? Why did Frank frame in early? Da, 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 da. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You don't go in against someone like Sanchez with the limited experience you've got. Remember, people thinking about Frank Sanchez's fight against Ajit Caballero, but this is a man who still holds a victory over F.A. Ajagba, who really, in my opinion, beat what's his name? This Martin Bakole
Martin McCauley.
last time out. So this is a very capable and competent man with Cuban skills. Remember, Moses Atoma, for all his greatness and prosperous looking future, he didn't actually enter the senior ABAs. He did, junior ABAs and the equivalent of NABC type stuff. He fought as a junior and a youth. So he hasn't got that big experience, especially at adult senior level. So you do have to take your time with him. And as you said, he isn't going to beat Mike Tyson's record. He's not even going to beat Floyd Patterson's record now. So there's no point in doing that whole rush thing. Just bring him along slowly. He's only had a handful of fights. How many fights did Wilder have before he got a world title shot? How many fights did Julio Cesar Chavez have before he got a world title fight? People don't remember these type of things, but they like to go on like these old school greats was just fighting, as they say, the KI double L's of the world straight off of the bat. No, they built up a major big resume off before they even got a world title shot, and it's all about development. So people need to take time with the youth, man.
I hear it. All right. Any other business before we get to what's been going on the weekend?
Well, we saw Ben Whitaker had his press conference with on the Friday just before the York Hall card for Matchroom. He spoke about that Frank Warren Queensbury did make him an offer, even though Frank Warren denies this. He said he did make him an offer, but the opponents that they was proposing, he thought was a bit too shaky, meaning they were too bad. Whereas Warren said that Whitaker's opponents he wanted was too light. So either way, I don't know. But either way, for them to discuss opponents too good or too bad, there obviously was some kind of discussion had. So I do probably believe Ben Whitaker that there was an offer made, but who knows about the opponent selection. I think that maybe the Warren's right on the opponents, maybe not being up to scratch, but I do believe Whitaker in that an offer was made. But he did a good press conference, all that showmanship. Some people got upset that he said he's going to beat Gavazi. What's it? Turn him into a German doner
German
kebab.
doner kebab.
Some people was getting very in their feelings, like saying if it was the other way round, that all hell would break loose.
Well, not
Um,
really, because what you're gonna turn him into a British pie?
I know that's what I said. If he said what if he said he's going to turn him into a an English, I don't know, an English muffin, or what do they call it? Tea and scones, tea and biscuits. Americans say that about British fighters all the time. Or at best, he could have said he's going to turn him into a Jamaican patty. No one's going to get upset about that. And also, I had to mention to my good friend that Ben Whitaker is actually half Austrian. His mum is Austrian, and as if you know the history and geography, Austria is they're more or less Germans. So he qualifies where he can talk about that kind of stuff because he's subsequently even talking about himself, kind of like how YB makes jokes on himself. So he can do the whole German Donna if he wants.
Yeah, but even German doner kebab is just it's a chain in the UK. Like it's an actual place of food. So yeah, if I didn't hear anyone complaining about it, obviously I didn't get a chance to watch any of the interviews after his press conference with Gavazi. I did watch the press conference. I heard that, but I thought, yeah, no. Like I said, it's a chain in the UK. Like it's a chain of stores. Actually, I think it's globally. So it's not, you know, talking about someone's like nationality is never really an that's not ever a sore spot. Obviously there's a difference between a lot of people don't seem to understand the difference between nationality and ethnicity, race, or no, on another slightly different spectrum, color and stuff like that. So they're all different things. It's very funny because actually, no. You know what? Let me not get into it here because I don't want to potentially demonetize anyone's channels. But yeah, like I said, there's different. There's a lot of difference between ethnicity, culture, like sort of cultural, uh, like I said, nationality, and they're all very different stuff. So yeah, but look, is um, I've not seen Benjamin Gavazi fight, but the one thing I will say is while I don't necessarily care about box rec rankings as such, a lot of the people that we were asking Ben Whitaker to fight, if I remember correctly, this guy is actually ranked higher than a lot of them on box rec at present. If and him and Ben are actually in similar spots on box. So it's not like, oh, you've got Ben that's like maybe number 34 on box rec, and then this guy's like 196. Like I think they're both in like the 50s
and
or
and
something like that,
and
or like 150s and
that's better than a
140s.
lot of a Queensbury fighters' previous opponents' rankings. When you see their box rec, when they see their rankings on box rec, they're in the 200s and stuff like that, and they're
Yeah,
fighting next month.
yeah. These two are at least they're close in rankings now. Obviously, that doesn't mean that they're close in talent. It doesn't mean that the fight will even be competitive. But from that sense, there is a silver title on the line. I'm not going to judge it too harshly. I more want to see the performance, um, and just see what he's kind of been learning with Andy Lee since the Liam Cameron rematch. Um, but yeah, they said that the plan is he's going to be out at least 4 times by the end of 2026. So I'm not mad with this quote unquote introductory fight. If it ends up being that, and then you get a nice little 3 times in 2026 for the rest of the year, yeah, no issue on that one with me. Uh, and it's customary. How many times does someone get signed and then the first fight that they have is like it's a killer, or it's one of the top guys in the division, or it's for a major title? That only ever really happens at the championship level, and it's usually they're only signing them to make that one particular fight. So
Mm-hmm.
as much as Yeah, there are obviously maybe other people we would like to see. I'm pretty sure that that can end up being the next fight or the fight after that, especially if he's going to be active. Because that's the one. If he's only going to have one fight a year, then cool, I can understand criticism. But from we've been told 4 fights, obviously not accounting for any potential injury that might occur, which hopefully does not happen. But yeah, I haven't got an issue with it.
Yeah, neither have I. And you're spot on about that. When people get signed, when Fury came back and signed up with Queensbury, did he just get thrown in with Wilder? No, he didn't. He had a couple of soft touches before it. That's just how you don't just throw in your signing straight off the bat and get no, you don't get nothing recuperated at all. You just literally gambling 50-50, rolling the dice, which is the buzzword of boxing these days. But that's what it is. This is to showcase him on the zone. This is his this is his showcase on the zone, and the next year they'll put him in tougher fights. As I've seen a list of names being mentioned for him to fight after, but this is the introductory. He's a big commodity, big talent. You've had the big promo, and you want him to style and profile and get the viewing numbers up. So yeah, I have no problem with this fight.
Cool. Also, I guess we get the rematch to Cameron Vong and Gavin Gwynn. What's your initial thoughts on that one? Because that first fight was a little bit of a again hard prospects in boxing.
Well, I'm looking forward to this fight because I wanted this fight to be on the same bill as Bilal Fawaz and Junaid Boston, because I thought they could have labeled it unfinished business, because I was at that fight with Gavin Gwynn and Cameron Vong. That was in Birmingham on the Sonny Edwards and Galal Yafai card, and I thought Gavin Gwynn won very, like, hands down. I thought he won hands down. I think even Eddie Hearn got in the ring and said that. He's said he's got to run it back also. Um, I think Cameron Vong has changed trainers, I believe. So we'll see if there's any improvement there. Gavin Gwynn, he is an older gentleman. Um, so maybe Vong might tactically be a bit better this time, but I do believe that Gwynn should have got the verdict the first time round. But it's a good fight. I think, even though I predicted that Bilal Farahs would beat Janaid Boston in the rematch, which he did. I think Cameron Vong, maybe this time, will probably get the verdict again, but actually legitly, I just have a feeling Gwyn might have slowed down because he's been inactive. But this is what they do. They do things like this to try and help propel the younger prospect with the bigger shelf life.
Okay, I hear it. I hear it. All right, so I'm trying to think. Should we do this in terms of chronological order, or should we do this in terms of interest generated over the weekend? Because they're definitely not the same thing.
Yeah, there's definitely well, if it's interest generated, there's only one place we can start, really.
All right, go for it. Start there.
Well, I saw in the comment section early doors. This is how I think we both can agree that this is where the interest generated was, where we had Leighton versus Juarez, in it was in America, right?
Yeah, it was on the Texas card and the MVP card.
Yeah, but it was in the prelims. So shout out to um, Base Stradamus, who messaged me early hours of the morning whilst I was on shift, and I said, I'll watch it later when I get in. And someone else mentioned it, and then that reminded me when I did get them. I was like, oh, okay, let's see what this is all about. And then, lo and behold, good grief, Tony Pugilist. I know you're into your old fights, but come on, brother. If you're telling me this is not more exciting than Hagler Hearns' round one, then now you're being a bit, you know, timeline bias, because that was just absolutely crazy of a fight. I will say that I believe the ref was was bad. Yes, um, Juarez got dropped in round one, and from then it's like he just wanted to get him out of there. First, he holds to try and clear his head, And then he starts taking points of him, like you don't want him to hold. No, no holding. Just get ice, son. And lo and behold, persistence beat the resistance of Leighton, where he managed to drop him in that round one, and then yeah, he just turned the tide. And I'll let you finish the rest, off base man, because that was just what berserk.
Yeah, so I was watching. So I was watching the prelims, and I was in the gym at this point. Uh, I went late yesterday, and I'm going to be going late again tonight. But so I'm in there, I'm watching it, and I'm hearing the commentary talk about Sebastian Juarez, like one of the top prospects in the states at the moment, and like they're like the world's his oyster, and I'm hearing like Nonito Donaire and stuff, and I'm like okay, cool. So let me take a look at this guy, and but then Nonito said, yeah, he's got this little bad habit though of dropping his left hand when he steps in, and if he's not careful, that could be his undoing. Lo and behold, less than about 10 seconds later, he jumps in, gets caught with a peach of a shot straight down the pipe, and literally just falls like his whole body just shuts down and just drops in one singular motion, and it's bad when like you drop and then the you drop to a point where the leg literally just folds underneath you, like you ain't got no ligaments or no tendons or nothing, and it's just limp. So he's on the ground now, looking just totally out of it. He gets up, and then as the referee's counting the eight count, he starts stumbling and then walks over with his guard up like he's trying to still fight, and the referee's like, I ain't even finished the count yet. And that was the mad bit. He was like, so the referee got to six, and he just starts walking over, dazed like and then he's like, yo, I want to get, and he's like, referee, like, get back over there. I ain't even finished the count. Then he finally goes seven, then he goes eight, and then he's looking at, and his legs are not even underneath him at this point. It is great, So then Demarcus Layton comes back in to try and cause a big upset. He catches Sebastian Juarez with a couple of another shots. Then Sebastian ends up he grabs hold of him just to sort of try and steady his legs. I think he ends up falling. He ends up sort of buckling down and falling over, but he's still got his arms just kind of wrapped around him. And as like Leighton's literally backing off, he just literally dragging him across the floor at this point. Like the guy, his whole equilibrium's gone. Like he's out of there. He's clearly concussed at this point in time. Mad days. Then the referee picks him up and he's like, 1 point for holding, 1 point for holding, 1 point. And everyone's like, raw, like that's a bit deep. Like then Leighton goes back in for another flurry. Obviously, he's tucking up. He's trying to compose himself. He grabs again. Um, this time I can't remember how this one ended. But then the referee manages to pull them apart again. He's like 1 point for holding, 1 point, and you're like, raw. This is about to be a 10-6 round if he can even survive it. But at this point, there's like a minute and 20 seconds left of the round, and you're like, nah, I don't think he's got it in him. I think this one's about to be over. Next thing they just say, what? We're just gonna swing, and he just swings, and then they both just swinging out for each other. Next thing you know, just that he managed to get himself back composed. The legs managed to just get underneath him. I think it was a big left hook that he caught him with initially, and then that kind of that was what sort of wobbled Leighton, and then Leighton's almost like stepped back towards the ropes. I got caught with another shot. I think there was an uppercut in there as well. He ended up falling over. Referee counts him, then he gets back up, then he gets put against the ropes, and he's all sort of staggered on the ropes. He ends up eating a flurry of shots, gets put over again. Referee counts him again. You've got about five. There's about 12 seconds left of the round as he's getting up, and then it gets to about 7 seconds. Next thing you see, big flurry on the ropes. He tries to cover up, tries to dodge a few, but he eats a clean one right as the bells, just a second before the bell sounds, and he ends up on the canvas again, head on the bottom rope as the bell goes ding ding ding, and the referee waves it off. So he couldn't even give him the say, oh, do you know what? Let me assess this one and see if we can make it to the second round. Nope, just three knockdowns after taking the prospect into deep waters. It reminded me a little bit of the Abdullah Mason fight in terms of the prospect taking, getting caught early and getting put down. But like Abdullah Mason was never out on his feet. It was just flash knockdowns. Whereas Sebastian Juarez, geez, he's if that was in the UK, it would have got waved off as soon as he got up and started walking over to the guy like he's ready to fight again. Because they'd have said, "Okay, you're not even in control of yourself right about now." But he
Yeah, who's
managed
that
to walk.
referee who's straight on waving off? What's his name again?
Howard Foster.
Yeah, Howard Foster straight. Yeah, because he was gone in a lot of situations. The way he was not able to actually go into the neutral corner, and he was in a lot of situations he would have and should have got waved off. But then he did the ref. That's what I don't understand. So he didn't wave him off, but then he just started taking points off him so hard. And as you said, it was 10-6 at one point. Then it became 8-6. Then it became 8-7, and then it was over. I mean, sorry, 6. Yeah, six
Yeah,
seven.
if the fight would have been, it would have been had it have ended, the fight would have been yeah, it would have been an 8-7 round.
Yeah,
That round would have been 8-7
yeah,
because you take a point off for each knockdown, but because he got the first point, so obviously then when the second knockdown happens, that reduces 1 point again, unless it's a 10 point must system. That's where it gets a bit tricky.
yeah,
Um, because then that one would have been nine. That one would have ended up being 9-7 as a 9-7 round because of the other two knockdowns. But then you would almost give him back one of the points because then one of the other points got taken off. It was weird. But I think at the end of that round, it would have ended up being like a 8-7 or a eight. Yeah, it would have been an 8-7 round at the end of it. Because outside of those three knockdowns, Leighton was actually winning like the round as well. So
yeah,
I think if you take all that into account, you say, well, he probably was like up on the scorecards at that point. You take the rest of them off. It's a bit weird how it would be structured, but I think probably it would have been the first time, maybe the first time in history that, well, at least in recent history, I'll say that, or in my lifetime, that I would have seen a round like that, whereas yeah, it ends up like an 8-7, 8-6 at
yeah.
the end of it.
I've not seen some, but that is what you call. I implore everyone to go and watch that because those of you who do suffer from attention deficit and don't want to do no long hauls, this is a straight one round shootout. You get 3 minutes of pure action, literally 3 minutes. So that's all you need.
Yeah. So from there, and that sort of set a good tone for the cut because the couple fights before that was all right. Then the fight, what was the fight after that? There was a next fight after that one, and then it was followed by Shurita Metcalf, aka Chicken, against Crystal Rosado Ortiz, who's obviously Amanda Serrano's sort of prospect. Her charge was 7-0. Shurita, I think, was 14-5-1 was a record at the time, and she's like, "Oh, this is the revenge tour." She's like, "I want my belts back" and all that sort of stuff. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I like Shirelle. Spoken to her a couple times. Think she at one point she was following me on X. I'm not sure if she still is because I did pick Shanika Johnson to beat her, so I don't know if she maybe got enough feelings about that. If you're watching Shirelle, I mean, yeah, no hard feelings. I was just doing my job, but yeah, I thought that Crystal would win the fight, not because necessarily like Shirata isn't, obviously at that level, but I just thought the younger, fresher girl probably tried to bully her a little bit the way that Shanika Johnson did. Even though Shirata, look, she's a tough woman. But I just thought, yeah, the youthfulness. Um, Obviously, she is the person that they're pushing. So you think get a little consideration on the cards if it's close. But it was one of those fights. I feel like it kind of could have went either way in terms of who you thought won it. I thought Crystal did enough. Honestly, like I thought she won it by a round, but I can't, but I've got no real issue with the decision. I was a bit surprised by some of the scorecards, so, because they had Shura and Metcalf like winning pretty wide, and I was like, raw. I think one of them was like 70. I think there was one that was 77, 75, and then the other one, I think the other two were like 17. I think one was like 79, 73. Um, and I know there was definitely a 78, 74 in there, which again, I was a bit surprised by. I didn't I didn't think that she won that many, but um, congratulations to her. She got very emotional in the ring. Said, "Look, Shanika Johnson, I want my rematch. I want my belts back." Obviously, she's also got to see Dina Thorslund if that becomes the case, because Dina is the Ring Magazine and the lineal champ of the division. So, hey, if she can get back in the mix there, I'm all for it. And one thing about her, she does throw hands with her very long limbs. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. What do you think?
I didn't actually get to watch this fight. I just saw some highlights on the Instagram timeline where it's like, okay, they're going at it and they're both sort of swinging for the fences at each other, grabbing. Sharika's getting sort of pushed back to the rope, swinging her fists. So it was a bit of a rough attack. But because she's got that, it's like, I don't like to say it, but she's got this sort of Bambi like limbs. She's very, I don't know, very Bambi like legs and arms. It's kind of flails. So it doesn't look very gamely and good on the eye to watch on TV. But yeah, she gets the results at the end of the day, and that's all what matters. But yeah, it's not my type of fighter that I would particularly want to watch. For it's in women's boxing, um, but yeah, well done to her. She beat an undefeated fighter who's 23 years old, Puerto Rican. She'll come again. So yeah, well done to Sharika on a comeback trail.
You know what? Since we're talking about the women right about now, and I'm sure we'll get to some of the other stuff in a minute. I feel like there's only one other place we're gonna jump around here. So let's go to I guess the biggest or the second biggest women's fight of the weekend. Some people might say it's the third, but I'm gonna say it's the second, and that's Shannon Chaos Ryan against Chloe Watson. Now I think we were both in agreement before this fight that Shannon would win. Um, I think there's some members of the panel that they were very very assured of how emphatic the win would be. I said I thought it would be a clean unanimous decision win. Um, but this one, okay, so here's my thing now, right? And again, I'm not a boxer, I'm not a boxing trainer, so I say this purely from the outside perspective, but I say this from a perspective of what I would call common sense. So the fight's happening, the first two rounds have gone, and then the third round has kind of gone now. At this point, Shannon Ryan is bossing the fight. She's landing pretty much at will when she is landing to the body. Like she's fainting, she's dodging the majority of the shots from Chloe. She's turning the corner. She's taking those half steps around the side. Like she's just really in control. Now, usually you would say the one thing that you worry about with Shannon is whether she can maintain the work rate and the speed and sort of like the volume for the full duration of a fight. She is rather muscular for her frame and whatnot. So you always think, okay, her opponents have to stay competitive in the first half and then try to take it into the second half and just see how you go. That's a pretty standard tactic for most of her fights, because if it just comes to being a front runner, you're not going to beat her in the first half. But you've got your opponent now. Chloe Watson, at this point, as far as I'm concerned, is clearly she's 2 rounds down. Third round comes and they have a nasty head clash where I think Shannon accidentally headbutts her in the eye. And then her eye ends up swelling up something gruesome, like straight away. And it's, just a mad contusion on the lid. Now you're saying, so this is the third round, and the girl, you can tell that even if she can see out of the eye at the minute, is not going to be seeing out of there for much longer after that. So why in the world would you, as a corner, after the referees come over and ask you, can she see, and the doctors come in, you say, oh, we're going to give it one more round? Why? Because everyone knows if the fight don't make 4 rounds, the completion of 4 rounds, it ends up going to a technical draw, or in some cases, depending on what's happened, a no contest. And at the very least, you can save yourself from a defeat. Now, at that point, with an eye looking like that, with her not being a puncher, like that's one thing that no one has ever said. Oh, she's got power. She's more about the boxing skills. So if she's 4 rounds down, or even 3 rounds down at this point, with one eye, what reasonable evidence do you have from any of her previous bouts that's going to suggest to you that she's going to be able to make a comeback and win the next 6 or 7 rounds with one eye? No, the sensible thing is to tell them, lie if you have to. She can't see. The eyes completely closed. She can't see. Call it off. Technical draw. If anything, you rescheduled about a few months down the line and you maybe get a chance to go again. Now you've been in there for 3 rounds. You kind of know what you're dealing with. And then the next time, if you can't win, then you just can't beat this girl. But to put yourself in that position to the point where now the eye's all broke up and taking more damage because Shannon's now targeting the eye as well, being very spiteful but very precise and being very chaotic in the ring, as she likes to cause chaos, as she says. It was just a recipe for disaster. So no matter how long the fight was going to last, because we all knew that there's no way it's going to go to the final bell with someone with an eye injury like that so early on in the bout, you were always going to end up getting another loss on your record. And it was a loss that you didn't need to take. And I just feel that the team was extremely either naive, ignorant, or damn right incompetent to allow that fight to carry on. And they actually did her a disservice because she didn't need to take any further punishment after that. If this is my opinion, obviously, who am I? I'm not in the know like that, but that's my thoughts on it. I thought that they were just plain stupid for doing that. Now she's got another L on the record. That's 2 L's on the bounce to someone that was the former European flyweight women's champion. Now, like, you're basically almost relegated to you might be to gatekeeper status if you're lucky. They might start just putting you as the opponent for everyone now, thinking you're just going to take loss after loss. Like, your career trajectory has just taken a massive nosedive. Bearing in mind, you didn't even have I don't even think she's got a full promoter. She did shows with Boxer. I think she might have done a couple Hennessy shows. She might GBM possibly, but yeah, like she doesn't have one the same way that Emma Dolan doesn't have a promoter like that. Jasmine Zapatochna doesn't necessarily have a promoter like that. Like, you've got to do what you got to do to kind of preserve your value, and I feel like her team just did her a major disservice. But tell me what you think, because obviously I could go on about that all day.
Well, there was a couple incompetent callers in my opinion on that night, but we will stick with the one we're on right now. Yeah, I agree. But do you know what? I thought that in that moment, because as Shannon Ryan, she come out, she was booming over the right hook over the top and stuff like that, landing at will. Good boxing, and as you said, the head clash happened. It wasn't even a major like head clash, but it did serious damage to the eye, swollen up bad. And in that moment when they was asking, can she see? Because the doctor, I think, wanted to wave it off, and the ref, but I think I don't know if it was peer pressure where she felt, I've got to show I'm tough and I can carry on. Because she was saying no, but in those instances, that's normally when they say your corner needs to save a fighter from themselves. But I don't know why, because it would have been a technical decision, and a no contest, which happened to Alicia Baumgardner, who was clearly en route to be in what's her name, Pursoon.
Delphine Pursoon.
Yeah. But they said one more round when she doesn't have any KOs or TKOs on her resume. So I'm not sure. I don't believe they thought they was ahead and maybe thought they was going to get it on a technical decision on the cards. Because normally, say that happened to you, but you've won 3 rounds, rather than just having no contest, just get through one more round and then boom, hit the decision maker and get. I've seen that happen a couple of times before. But she was down on the cards by what, 30-27 easily. But then she just took a bit more stick, and then they had to pull her out because the eye was then completely shut. She couldn't even. You could clearly see there was no sight on it, and then she lost. So I know she is out again in December against Kamarjeet Kaur, an Indian lady. So she's got another date, Chloe Watson, but that is down at a much lower level. But yeah, Shannon Ryan, well done to her. It's looking good under the new coach still. Would have liked to have seen more of her. I'm sure there's some new supporters and fans on Twitex who would have liked to have seen more of her also, because I see they was getting really excited at her face off and weigh-in and stuff. And mate, if they were getting that excited because she was tracksuited up, if they saw some of her old weigh-ins, they'd have, I don't know, who knows what would have been happening. They would have been probably paying subscription money. Who knows? But
Well, if you remember, like I was one of the first. I did ask her back in the day, first interview, about whether or not she would consider doing like the OnlyFans subscription, or does she feel that it still kind of got the negative stigma? Because I was asking her about that, and I remember she was like, I respect all the people that sort of have sort of done the partnership and stuff, but for me, just with how my brand is and sort of just the connotation you kind of immediately associate the platform with, I just don't think it'd be right for me. But that was like 2 3 years ago. Some of
mm,
them are making big coins on there, and they're not obviously showing anything that probably isn't already on their Instagram or their other social medias. So maybe she should think about that. She definitely would be one of the people I reckon that they would look at and say she's got the following to make it viable. Obviously, nothing but class content, like the behind the scenes stuff with the training and all of that. I not necessarily need to hear that it's, oh, she's got like swimsuit photos and whatnot on there, but I mean, each to their own. I don't know. I just wondered if now maybe she might decide that a secondary sponsorship. Now she's got the O2 one, maybe a little bit of two O's in the in sponsorships. Maybe that one might might work.
yeah, positive. She could definitely make some good money off of it. Obviously, nothing, you know, all that kind of debauchery type of stuff. But she could wear some of her, former weigh-in stuff or whatever, as you said, behind the scenes content. Because I think even a couple of boxers have got only for like male ones, and they're just showing training footage and stuff like that. Literally, it's just like hitting the
Yeah.
pads and special stuff, and maybe them at home drinking tea and making their meal preps and whatever. Some people are really interested in that type of stuff, so
Yeah.
maybe she could. But yeah, good. I see she has got the O2 one, but that's obviously due to she used to work for the O2 originally, the phone shop. So that's good that they've got behind her and stuff like that, and that partnership is, she served you guys, so you're repaying the, back. So that's good to see. But yeah, well done to her. She's won the IBF intercontinental or international champion
Intercontinental.
intercontinental championship. Eddie Hearn saying he wants to put her in a world title fight because he doesn't feel there's much difference between this level and the world championship level. And yeah, I believe she should go for it. There's not much more she can do. She last time out we saw her at York Hall, me and you, on the top tier event where she did get a stoppage. So yeah, she can move on to a bigger card for a world title fight, and yeah, I think she's ready for it.
In fact, let me check who. I think the IBF champion might be Irma Garcia
I
for
think
the
that's who
women.
Eddie Hearn did say.
Let me check.
It's well, there's there's
Super.
Hiruta.
Yeah, no, Irma Garcia. I thought so. Yeah, because Mizuki Hiruta's WBO. The WBA is oh, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but Irma
Ashley
Garcia is
Gonzalez, Marlon
no, Ashley
Esparza,
Gonzalez is WBC.
Marlon
Um,
Esparza,
who?
Marlon Esparza,
No, she's not. She ain't a champion at Superfly.
Diana Fernandez.
No, no, no. I'll find out. But anyway, so her and Irma Garcia, I feel like would be. Here's the problem. Irma Garcia is probably tailor made for her in one sense, but she's
Hmm.
got a good engine. And again, if Shannon has to work and then work at a pace that she isn't setting herself and gets the chance to dictate stuff, that might be where the problem comes in. Um,
Mm. But she is 44 years old. But
yeah,
She
But
is a
hey, I mean,
southpaw as well with a lot of experience.
yeah, you'd be surprised, especially in sort of the women's in them smaller weights. A lot of them older women are the ones that are holding the divisions down. So
Yeah, I see a couple of weeks ago there was a woman in no, sorry, it was the Danish woman, the sister.
Danish.
Yeah,
Dina Forsland's the only Danish woman.
or is she Norwegian?
Oh, you talking about Cecilia Breckhouse?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, she was yeah, she's in her 40s and
oh,
she
Jasmine Artiga. That's the WBA champion. Okay. Now, you know what? Shannon will beat her. I
okay.
remember. Oh, yes. Oh, she is super. I thought she was flyweight. No, no, yeah. Okay. Uh, yes. Shannon will beat Jasmine. Jasmine's not terrible, but she's not good. She's got a power. I'll give her that. She's got a good punch on her, but she got gifted a title. I don't know if you saw her title fight against I think the lady's name was some. I think it was something Rodriguez. Uh oh, let me hold on a second. No, Regina Chavez
Okay.
was, yeah, and she won it on a majority decision. When I tell you, like, that was one of the biggest robberies I've seen. Like, to the
Mm,
point where I'm talking, the girl won like 9 rounds to 1, if that.
okay.
And somehow Jasmine Artiga got given, but it was only because, yeah, but her, who's and I'm getting totally off topic, but Liana Cruz was gunning for us. Like, okay, I want that belt, because she was supposed to be the one to get the title shot initially, and somehow Jasmine ended up getting put in the position, even though I think Liana was like number 1 in the rankings and Jasmine was like number 5 or number 6. So she was not happy. She's like, yeah, I
Okay.
want to get that, but she also wants her own belt, and I think then she wants to try to do a unification with her afterwards. But anyway, that's yeah, getting off on a bit of a tangent there, but that fight still makes me angry when I think about it.
Mm.
I'm gonna share it to you one day. Actually, it's
Okay, yeah, yeah,
it's
share it, man.
amazing.
I'll definitely check it out. But yeah, no, so there's two title opportunities there. Yeah, I think just go for it. You're young enough, and yeah, you done enough. So
Cool.
yeah,
Um, Sticking with that one real quick. Look, a few words. Our girl, well, I guess maybe October's girl, seeing that she's actually been able to speak to her a couple of times. Miss Tia May Ayton, 19, 3 wins, 3 knockouts. Is this the new sort of the new crop of the, the women's code? Women that actually get knockouts on a regular, not just maybe here and there. I don't know if there's any other. Um, I don't think there's any other female at the minute that's got 100% KO ratio. Um,
no, I know she said that she don't think anyone's done that. I didn't check, but the only person I could think of who possibly could have done that was Savannah Marshall because she was, she was known to blast out a lot of women. Um, but yeah, Tia, very good prospect. And what I know, she was hard on herself about the performance. She said to Eddie that was sorry or something like that. But
yeah,
to me, that is what she done was actually very impressive because the hardest thing to do, whether you're a man or a woman, is to get someone out of there who's not coming to fight and is on the run. I've seen many a man who couldn't cut the ring off, can't pin a person down, or the person's literally there to survive. And when they're there to survive, you just ain't getting rid of them. They're gonna, and there's not much. It's not like there's many rounds you got to do. So say it's a 4 rounder, etc. 1 second, Master Aficionado Junior, can you get out of the room, please? Sorry about that. Um, so when someone's not trying to engage with you, and you've only got say 4 rounds, and with in Tia's case, there's only like 2 minute rounds, etc., and you're trying to get rid of them, it's very difficult. But she still managed to drop her a few times and get the stoppage. So I thought that was actually very impressive that she was able to do that.
and with regards to Savannah, no, she had a unanimous decision in her first fight, 4 rounder, and she got a UD. So yeah, she was 2-3. out of her first three. So yes, I believe she is the only one, and I believe she's probably the only one with 100% KO ratio right now. I mean, I guess you wouldn't count it if it was just one fight, because that's a bit, but we'll see how long it lasts for. But she's got the goods, and she definitely has the right technique, which I think is something that a lot of the women don't necessarily have. A lot of them, it's almost like, without sounding derogatory to them, because that will never be the case, but it's almost like slap boxing. Like, they don't turn the hands over all the way. They don't sort of twist the knuckle as they're throwing the shot. Everything's just kind of about trying to make the connection. Um, Whereas there's only a few that really drive through the target, and you're talking about people like, obviously Savannah Marshall is definitely one of them. Um, Alicia did. I don't know if she does as much anymore, but she tries to drive through the target. Obviously, Tia does, and then Tam Tebow, who I was going to speak about next, actually, only because Desley Robinson, who is now basically, she's the IBF and the WBO middleweight champion. Obviously, when Clarissa left the division, the belts obviously got scattered, and she ended up getting a couple of them. So she took on, what's her name? Something Haller last night. Is it Sarah Haller? Natalie Haller? Anyway, so she took her on, beat her. It was 2 round TKO victory, and basically, everyone was basically making the comparison. She's like, "Oh, I want to become undisputed at middleweight," and everyone knows that Tam Tebow is, sort of almost like the heir apparent at the middleweight division. So for as long as she can kind of stay there, so that's the fight that they're almost now kind of building up at MVP. So that's a fight I definitely look forward to when it comes around. I think Tam might take another one or two fights just to make sure that she's got everything in order for the pro game. But yeah, definitely looking forward to it when that one does occur. I don't suppose you saw any of that.
No, 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 I didn't see any of that. But talking about the women who do drive through the target and turn their hands over properly, I'll mention some other names. Caroline Dubois is one. Elif Nur Turhan is another one. Yeah, there are a couple who I can think of most notably.
Beatrice Ferreira, to be fair, she does as well.
Yes, Beatrice Ferreira, and oh my god, I can't wait for that fight. So, good grief.
I'm surprised. I'm not gonna lie, and that's again because we didn't even speak about that. I am very surprised that they made that fight, not because, um, not because it's not a good fight. It's a brilliant fight. It's a fight, but it's a fight I wouldn't think they would have made, considering that Tahan has basically, she's got number one crack at the WBA title, which is held by
Mhm.
Stephanie Han. Like, so if that's the case, why put her in with your girl on the IBF route when you could have taken this other belt? You could have then got your two charges potentially to fight the other girls, or well, or maybe one of them, because obviously the other one then becomes is what's her name, Steffi Grant's ex girl.
Oh,
Why is it
oh,
blanking on the name? Um, oh, this is annoying. Chat, help me out.
yeah, help us out, please.
Everyone knows who I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Got knocked out on her feet by Alicia Baumgardner.
Oh, Terry Harper.
Terry Harper, that's it. Yeah, Terry Belter Harper. So she's got one of the belts. She's got the WBO belt. WBC belt is obviously with Caroline Dubois. WBA is with Stephanie Hahn, and then the IBF um, is with Beatrice Ferreira. So to me, it would have made a lot more sense to put her on the WBA route. She's number one in line. You get MVP to put that fight on. Then you can possibly do the unification between the two, or you get one of them to try and go for either Terry's belt or Caroline's belt, and then you sort of you try and build that fight into possibly an undisputed if you can get there. But
Hmm.
whereas you've got your sort of like one of your best prospects in the women's game fighting arguably one of the best champions down at those weights. That's not to say that you can, that if any one of them takes a loss, that's it. But you know, I just thought that the route would have made more sense to go another to go another route. And obviously, Beatrice doesn't mind; she just wants to defend her belt. But I know she wants the unifications, so that's why I was really surprised that they made that fight. Um, but that being said, that definitely could be a don't blink moment because both women have got the power, and if anything, Turhan has not just got the power, she's got the she's got the delivery mechanism as well, which sometimes Beatrice doesn't necessarily have. Um, I'm looking forward to it, but like I said, it, it almost what that one almost feels like. And I'm gonna say this, and I could be totally wrong, so it's a full disclaimer. This is just a thought and a theory. I'm not saying it's as gospel, but it's almost like Matchroom are very much out of the women's game, apart from whomever they think that they can make big money with. So obviously Tia in the future could definitely be that, especially if the knockout streaks continue, because that's something that's going to be a commodity in itself. And she's young, she can get more confident on the mic and all of that stuff later on. And also, she does the rapping from time to time as well. So
Oh,
they,
does she?
yeah, oh yeah, you need to. She's actually pretty decent. She can't
Okay.
write her own lyrics, but she can deliver other lyrics. Like she's even said, "Look, yeah, I can't write my own rhymes, but like and if someone writes it for me, I spit it." So,
Okay.
um, but yeah, so you kind of got her, but Beatrice, I mean, the last three fights that she's had has been on other people's cards. There was an MVP card, there was a card in Brazil, and I think there was another one just before the last Monte Carlo card. So she's kind of there. Elif, like knockout artist, but I don't think she speaks English at the minute. So it's kind of a case of can we necessarily promote her like that? Terry Harper's obviously left. I think she went to go join MVP. They don't have Caroline. So it's almost like to say, well, we've got these women. We don't really know what to do with them. We don't know how we're going to market them and make them big stars. All right, let them fight each other. Whoever loses, all right, kind of see you later. We keep the other one. And then if the other one can have a unification, then that's a fight, a cost effective fight we can make on the card. Or if they end up losing the belt, all right, we kind of get rid of the rest of them and then we just focus on the others. That's kind of what it feels like by having such a good fight just on like with nothing at stake when you basically could have made the both of them sweep up and dominate everything in those divisions. Was and even like you could get Beatrice to go back down to 130 and try to take over the 130 division and leave Alif at 135. And I think even Alif can make 130 as well, I've heard. So it could have had done one of those, tried to make both of them that way, but it just seems like Matchroom just don't have the time or the patience to sort of to develop that. And that's like I said, from the outside looking in, that to me is the reason why this seems like it's been made. So while I do think the fight is a great fight, I'm concerned about the reasons why it was made, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, tell me what you think.
Yeah, I can see exactly your point with that. I do, as we know, Matchroom, they've had, women world champions in the past, i.e., Ellie Scotney, etc. And they said, we can't really do much else for you. And this is a British woman um, who they've decided to let go to MVP. So maybe they just feel like they just fulfilling obligations contractually, and then they'll let them go elsewhere. But in the meantime, they'll just put them in the biggest, hardest fights possible, because this could have gone on a different card, much more eyes on it. But maybe if it is a main event type thing, that we, it might do well with their respective nations tuning in, etc. I would have preferred it if they did let Elif Turhan get the belt, and then it was at least a unification rather than a one world title thing. I think even if it isn't undisputed, I think it deserves at least unification, as these two are two, as Jim Ross would say, slobber knockers. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this fight. But yeah, in the future, I could see both fighters potentially heading over to MVP, as Philip Ansah did allude to there. So yeah, but hey, it's a great fight. I ain't complaining, and I will definitely be tuned in for it.
Yeah, and then the last women's fight of the weekend. Well, actually, no, there was two. There was Sarah Borman versus Karuki, um, and there was also Lourdes Suarez versus Jessica Neri Plata, who basically was going in for her belt that she never lost on the scales. She ended up having to vacate the belt because she got pregnant and obviously had a child, and come back 2 years later, said I don't want no tune up, I want my belt back. Went into the fight, and for the first half of the fight, she was like bossing it, pretty much. I'll give Juarez some credit. Like she did come back well, and like she came back well into the fight, but I still feel like Neri Plata won it. If I'm honest, I think she won it by 3 rounds. I thought it was like a 90, a 93, 97 type job, but it ended up being no, it was a majority decision. What first card was 95-95. Then Juarez got one card, I think it was 96-94, and the other card I think might have been 90. Might have been two 96-94s. Yeah, I think it was majority. So she got to keep the belt, but it was a good fight. It started off a little bit slower, but then it went into a typical like all Mexican affair after that, with just both ladies winging away, body, head. One person might sort of might tuck up and wait for their opportunity, wait for the other person to slow down, stop punching. Next person goes, and it was just it was definitely a bit rock'em sock'em towards the end, but it was a great main event for that MVP card. Um, can't complain. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if you watched it, but if not, you can definitely check it out later on or tomorrow, because it's worth watching.
No, I did. I watched that one because when I was looking for the fight, you told me to go and look. It had that, but it said something about full card, and it ended up putting that fight on first. So I just thought, oh well, let me just watch it. It wasn't the most entertaining because both are very light punches, in my opinion. But it's good that she won a belt back. I didn't know the story that she
No, she didn't win it back. Juarez got given a decision. Neri Plata lost on majority decision.
No, you said that she
I had to vacate
yeah had to
because of
vacate because of
pregnancy.
the pregnancy. So I didn't know the backstory.
Oh,
But yeah, yeah, it wasn't a really entertaining fight for B, but it is what it is.
surprise! I thought it was very entertaining. Like the first couple rounds was just like they was, it was ramping up. It was one of those fights. It started off a little bit slow. There was still a lot of punches thrown, but it getting, like I said, it became rock'em sock'em from like round 6 onwards.
Yeah, the punches just look too light for me, man. The punches look too light for me, man.
They, mate, they fight at like 108 pounds.
That's where yeah, I'm not really
Actually,
watching.
no, sorry, they're minimum weights. They fight at 105.
Yeah, yeah. The only person I'm watching at them kind of weights is that Ortiz brother, the Puerto Rican, because he's laying brothers out still.
Ortiz. You mean Oscar Collazo?
That's it, Colazo, yeah, Colazo, yeah, Oscar
Oh.
Colazo, the Puerto Rican brother. He's still smacking up brothers. So yeah, I watch him, but minimum weight's not really for me, man.
Well, I thought you would have given the women a bit more grace than that, but fair enough. I mean, let's be honest. Like, there's women that are all heavyweight they ain't punching that hard or knocking people out. So
True, true, true.
I enjoyed it. That's why it's cool. I mean, that's why we have different people on the panel, like different opinions, and different preferences. All right, cool. So that's the end of that. Now let's talk about. Um, let's go back to Matchroom Friday, York Hall, because you would have been a lot more sort of invested in this one than me, just from a perspective of you kind of know a lot more of the guys, maybe personally, because a lot of them come from Matchroom Gym. Obviously, you had Craig frequently you know works out there as well. He's a part of the stable. He's back a part of the stable now. So these are people that you would see on your travels. Just give us your thoughts on sort of the card itself.
Yeah, good card. And what are we talking about? Like the main event now, yeah? Yeah, so we had Kieran Conway defending his British and Commonwealth title versus George Lillard, who I know, seen him box a few times, been in the gym with him, seen him working out and stuff like that. Cool guy, big West Ham supporter. I even know one of his uncles who he does security. He didn't know um, that he had an uncle, but then I managed to link them up or whatever. So it's all good. And funny enough, they're both West Ham supporters. So I was like, Lidard, that there ain't that name ain't no regular name. So, but yeah, that's all good. But yeah, I always thought that Lidard would win on. I thought that he would win on points. Some people's thinking it was going to be too soon for Lidard. That Kieran Conway in his recent form, he's looking strong, he's looking powerful. Even though Kieran Conway, I've always said, just looks like the biggest middleweight, one of the biggest middleweights I've ever seen. He just always looks so tall, and then he's like got big muscles and stuff like that. But he doesn't really, to me, punch that hard. Yes, he's got a few stoppages as of late, but overall, in general, for his size, he's not very powerful or strong. And I always, rate George Lidard's speed and his punch variety. So I did always believe he would win on points. Um, so yeah, going into the fight, that was my prediction. First round, George Lillard, he showed straight away the difference in hand speed, lighting up Kieran Conway with jabs, hitting with a three punch combination, a straight three punch combination, a 1-2 corkscrew uppercut, which knocked the head back of Kieran Conway. Throughout the fight, he was bossing it, even on the inside. Good body shots. Kieran Conway, to his credit, he was fighting back, but he was always just a bit too slow for the marker. Even though he's 29 years old, he has been in some tough fights, but he has always shown a great chin against guys like Ted Cheeseman, Amo Williams. I forgot who the third loss was against, but that was on points as well. He's never,
The main Sissoko.
yeah, was it? Yeah, Sissoko, but yeah, he's never hit the deck from what I know. Always been solid, but yeah, a couple good body shots here and there from Kieran Conway, but George Leonard was always beating him to the punch, showing his superior boxing skills, and sort of busted up Conway's face, like his cheek, from about even the second or third round, I believe. Didn't look in any trouble really, Conway, until it was about the eighth round where it seemed his hand went. Um, and then that's where I thought, once again, as I spoke earlier, where I thought the corner in, I think is his dad. He said, oh, I can't close my hand. I can't close my hand. Then he's got dropped, but it was more of like he's just trying to scurry away, but he's just getting caught and knocked off balance because he can't even defend himself. Then it seemed like his shoulder went, because then he's like jumping up and down, but his arm, and he can't actually use the hand properly. He's just holding it out and then just trying to wing in a backhand right hook, which someone must have messaged Tony or John Ryder or somebody in the crowd to tell the corner, listen, he's got one arm now. So George then just started punching on him at will, and then he still sent him out for another round again into, and then round 10, he just started getting clapped over the top. Just in the end, they had to pull the fight, man, because it was just getting silly. But I just thought it was bad cornering from Kieran Conway. He took two unnecessary beatings for 2 rounds that he didn't really need to take. But yeah, valiant effort. But George Lidard got the stoppage, which I didn't think he would get, even though it was under different circumstances than it would have normally been. Had the injury not occurred, I think it would have went 2 points, as I would have predicted, because he was well ahead in front. But yeah, well done to George Lillard. I think he's the youngest middleweight British and Commonwealth champion. So good stuff. The Billericay bomber. Eddie Hearn will be happy because he's from around his way. Very confident young man. Him and Jimmy Sains, they're very good prospects, in my opinion, in the middleweight division. Um, Uh, I'll leave what I'm going to say. But yeah, Jimmy Sain's another good performance of the night as well in his English title victory over a guy I don't remember. I must have seen him fight before, but I don't remember.
Troy Coleman.
Yeah, Troy Coleman. But I remember you doing a breakdown on your basis picks, saying it was his last shot, sort of at the big time for his level, shall we say?
Mm.
Um, but yeah, Jimmy Sain's another one who is I really rate him.
No, um with the Liddard and Conway fight, obviously I did pick Kieran Conway. I did think it would be slightly too soon for Liddard, and mainly because I thought that even though like Conway's not like the biggest puncher, but because he's so physically imposing, I just thought like he would, do one of those wear him down, kind of break his heart type jobs throughout the course of the fight. Um, and to his credit, even though he was losing like the majority of the rounds early, from sort of around 5, 6 onwards, he was actually getting back into it. And where George Liddard was actually slow, you could see that he was visibly starting to kind of slow down from where he was, and he was now kind of looking for more select punches rather than the volume that he had been sort of throwing prior. Conway sort of stayed in that same pace. So he felt like, okay, yeah, he's taken a bit of damage, but if he could start just chipping away, he might be able to turn this one around. By the time the eighth came, and yeah, whatever happened to his hand happened, whether it's a break, a fracture, or maybe just like a bad sprain, or maybe tore something, ligaments or whatever in there. Um, I slightly disagree with you with regards to the like the corner not stopping it. Like I can see why you say it, and obviously it's a case of protecting for another day, etc. But like to him, that's the British and the Commonwealth. That's a level that he's probably imagined his whole like this is probably it for me. Like I'm not about to just let these belts go. Plus, he's never been stopped before, so I feel like they're looking at it and saying, "Well, you got to the 10th, or you got like to ninth. You got sort of the 10th coming now. 3 rounds, like he's not really like hurting you bad in there."
Nice 12
Um,
rounder with
yeah, I
British.
know.
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is like he's got to that round, and they're like, okay, well, you've never been stopped before. You kind of got to this round. Yeah, there's 3 rounds more to go. We know you can't use both the hands properly, but just kind of try to be busy with one and use that to set up the other hand, and maybe you might be able to catch him. Ultimately, your belts are on the line here, and your no KO loss streak. Because ultimately, that's one he's gonna say. Well, I've never been stopped. I lost a couple of fights, but no one's ever put me down. No one's ever stopped me. That's what some of these guys will cling on to as like sort of the last vestige of power that they have. And I can see why they've immediately just said, "All right, you know what? Let's try and get through it because we think that you can." But unfortunately, it's just a case that once, as you said, once George actually found out or properly understood that, oh, this guy's hurt, the energy that he lost in those earlier rounds came back. And that I think that's something that just naturally happens. Like when you find out that someone's hurt, or you find out that they're in a more compromised state than you, it just allows you to find some energy reserves from a place that you didn't think you had. And then he started battling again like it was the first 2 or 3 rounds. And yeah, at that pace, with that level of pressure and the incapacity that he had to use both, sort of both of his arms at that time, including what you believed also could have possibly been like a shoulder injury as well, which seems to have taken place. Yeah, that's when it became okay, writing on the wall. Then he gets knocked down, obviously into the ropes, and then he's on full survival mode. Man's down there trying to drop it like it's hot, drop it down, that kind of stuff to get away from the shots. But
Getting his eagle on.
yeah, but George said, the ego is not landing here. Like, get up. So yeah, look, big performance by George Liddard. As I said, I thought it might be a bit too soon. Prove me wrong. Not only did he prove me wrong, it was a great performance. He done something no one else has ever done, even people that I consider to be actually better boxers or athletes than him at present. yes, okay, you could say that they fought a younger version of Conway, but I definitely do feel like he fought the best version. He fought the version of Conway that actually believes in himself. So for him to do what he's done, he's not just one of the lads anymore. Not just one of the, oh, that's the Essex lot, the Eddie likes. No, he's got that potential. So let's see where we can get to. But it was a great performance.
Yeah,
Oh, and yeah, in terms of Jimmy Sains and Troy Coleman, I thought Sains would win comfortably on points as well. He done me one better, fourth round KO. Um, he's also another really good talent. Um, I mean, I find it funny that they keep trying to put the two of them together in a match, even though they're both in the same gym and they're not quite at the same level. But Eddie was quite clear there. Well, look, it's that's a that's a gym thing that we weren't not really going to get involved in that one. But they're kind of a couple steps away from each other, and I'm sure that their paths will divert. He was definitely on the we're going to kind of keep these ones separate because we can make some money off them in different realms. Um, but yeah, will that fight happen in the future? Possibly, but I reckon more chance one of them will end up moving up before that occurs. I can't see both of them staying there long term.
yeah, yeah. That's what I believe. But if they do stay at the same division, unless one of them moves gyms, then the fight won't happen. I don't believe.
Yeah, the only time I've ever remember two people from the same gym fighting each other and still being in the same gym was Danny Jacobs and Sergey Derevyanchenko.
Were they under the same coach as well, though?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
because what basically happened is when the fight got ordered, um, oh, what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name? Andre Rosier. Um, basically, he said, "Well, look, I've been with Danny longer, and I think he was like secretly, I kind of feel like he's got more to offer." So
Yeah,
he's like, so basically, he told him, you're gonna have to train with." I think he trained with the assistant coach, or he might have had to move just for that one fight. I can't remember how that one worked, but um, yeah, that's basically what happened. And then he went back to the gym straight after that fight took place. The only one that's similar to that was the Shakur Stevenson and Jamel Herring fight because they were both training with Bomac, but like Jamel Herring was actually there, and Shakur was kind of like flowing in and out of the gym. And then I think he ended up going with his Jersey guy for the fight instead.
yeah,
But yeah, those are the only ones I can kind of think of. But yeah, it definitely does get a bit techie. They're also trying to do the same thing with Moses Otama and Fabio Wardley. They just don't want people to be nice and to be able to coexist.
yeah, yeah. It's one of them ones, but it is what it is. But no,
Yeah.
good stuff, man.
And then look, last one, I guess, in terms of this stuff. Now, no prospects. This was definitely more of a bowing out type of event. You had Danny Garcia against Danny Gonzalez in his. Well, you say it was his farewell fight, but when it kind of came down to it, he said, "Oh, like I'm 85% retired." So he's left a little gap open for maybe one last big payday. But there was a lot of I know Teofimo Lopez was doing commentary there. I know a lot of the Brooklyn guys was there because they had it in the Barclays, but it
Yeah,
was weird because apart from Chris Colbert, like all of them are from Philly. Like Danny Garcia, Gabe Rosado, Joey DeVaco, I think was also on the card, and a couple others. So it's like, well, it's a Philly guy saying his farewells and all of that. Like, why are you having the fight in Brooklyn? When like you have it in Philly, chances are you probably get more people to come. They ain't got to travel, even though Philly's not that far away, but it's still a journey. Like they ain't got to travel. You have it kind of on the ends. It's probably be cheaper to have it in Philadelphia than New York. But I didn't see the entire card. There was one of the fights on the undercard that I did see. The name of it I don't remember, but obviously I saw I did see the end knockout between Garcia and Gonzalez. Obviously, it was a pay per view event, which I didn't purchase. I saw the first. The thing is, I saw the first half on. I think it was on YouTube. Someone was streaming. I think they were streaming the free portion, and then by the time it went to that the pay per view bit, I think the stream cut off, and I said, "Okay, cool, I'm going to my bed." But I mean, shout out to everyone that was obviously there. Danny Garcia, you know, the customary left hook is his favorite punch did the damage. Round 4, and Gonzalez was unable to continue. Yeah, and he's like I said, he's left the door open ajar for a potential return to the ring, but he says 85% retired now. That was the farewell fight to the game. Any thoughts for yourself on just maybe Garcia as a whole rather than the actual fight itself?
Well, yeah, Danny Garcia, great champion, had a great career. I first heard of him when he fought my sponsor, Ashley Fearfane. He got a decision over him, even though I felt that Ashley won the fight on points. I do implore people to check it out on YouTube in case you think I'm just doing brethren bias. Check out the fight. But yeah, then for most people, he burst onto the scene when he fought Amir Khan and hit him with he was losing the fight, similar to how Canelo was losing the fight. Um, but yeah, he hit him with that trademark left hook, and yeah, that we saw what happened from there. Um, in the Barclays Centre, good way for him to finish his career with that trademark left hook. Reminded me of when he was in the Barclays Centre and he slapped down Rod Salka in vicious fashion in the second round there. So yeah, but yeah, we star studied. I saw Willie the Kid there in attendance for the fight. Yeah, Danny Garcia fought the who's who. He's fought Keith Thurman, Zab Judah. I believe he fought. Did he fight Mateus? I think he did. Um, he fought Ivan Redcat. Yeah, Keith Thurman, as I said. Paulie Malignaggi, Lamont Peterson. Yeah, he did fight Matisse. I was right. Eric Morales, but no, I'm not going to give you credit for that. Kendall Holt is a good victory as well. So yeah, man, he's a great champion. At 140 and 147 he was decent. I know obviously his last fight against Lara, where he got taken out, but to me he is past his best. He has been very inactive. He did suffer the curse of I know Bates is going to be smiling at this one, the PBC contract, where they pay you to live a great lifestyle, but you don't really actually spend much time fighting. And I do know a few people who do know Danny Garcia or not necessarily know him. They know of him, but they're in the scene, the nightclub scene. And when they told me that whenever they go to a nightclub in various cities, he's normally there. He likes to party. I don't know if he's a big drinker, but he definitely likes to have late nights. To say he likes late nights. He likes to party. He likes to dance and have a good time. And those things take its toll on you because you can't burn the candle at both ends. But he's had a great career. He's made great money. He's got a good family. His dad was another one of those crazy dads, but he does have his best interests at heart. His dad's got an interview where he's now blaming the PBC for his son's uh, downfall. In his career. I think you should check that out. I forgot what channel it was, but I did see a clip of it and I watched the full bit. But it's not a channel that I'm too familiar with, but it is a good interview to watch. But hey, he hit him with a trademark left hook. Some people think the guy died. No, Danny, whether he has, yes, the hook was slower than usual. He's not 140 and he's not toying free anymore. But he still gets that torque. He still gets that rotation. And if he hits you with that left hook, no matter how old he is, as they say, the power is the last thing to go. And that was all he wrote.
I'm glad that you caveat the great champion thing with at 140 because okay, at 140 I will give you that he was good, yeah. But I feel that calling him a great champion does a disservice to actual great champions.
No, no, that's what I didn't. That's why I did. I didn't
No,
make.
but
I made
the
it.
thing is, no, but the thing because you say other people are now trying to romanticize the career after the fact, when I'm like, At 140, he did well. He had some very good, credible wins at 140. At 147, he basically lost every decent fight he was in. He won a vacant title at 147. Obviously, with PBC, it was a PBC controlled division at the time, and then
Yeah, when he beat what's his name, Robert Garcia,
yeah, Robert
That-
Guerrero.
Robert Guerrero.
Um,
Yeah, yeah,
and
battle of
then
Crazy Dads.
from there, literally proceeded to lose every other fight. Like obviously, Samuel Vargas don't count, but then you got Keith Thurman, you got Sean Porter, like obviously the Errol Spence fight when he kind of came back. Now, bear in mind, this is a Spence coming off of a car accident and all that kind of stuff, and like you still stunk out the joint. Like
Mm.
the Lara thing, imagine fighting Lara at 160 but asking for a catch rate of 156 pounds, like, and then getting retired on your stool by the dad. Um, yeah, he he was almost like a gatekeeper at 147, but again, it was all like you said, PBC isms. Like his career, I think would have panned out a lot differently had he not have had that PBC. He might have lost more fights potentially because
Mm.
obviously that they there's the tactic. I mean, to be fair, Top Rank do it as well, or at least they used to. They have some kind of guys, a couple contenders who they don't really think whoever's going to win anything, but they're good. They're good, credible names to have. So you kind of give them a bunch of fights that you know they're going to win. Get one of your top guys to beat them either at world level or just before you get there, and then that guy takes all sort of the name and the markability. Then you give that guy another sort of 1, 2, maybe 3 fights, not easy touches, but guys that stylistically they should be able to beat. You get them back on the win streak, and then you let them go into the ring with the next prospect that you've got, and then that prospect. So they did. Top Rank did it with what's his name, Richard Comey, after
Yeah,
after
yeah.
the fight with Tiafimo. They obviously they got the belt from him, and then after that he would have fights. He would win these fights. Then you put him in with another big guy, and then he end up losing that one. Then a couple wins, then a loss, and yeah, they just kind of have that feeder system. But it was just a lot more blatant, I feel, with PBC, especially back like we're talking 2017, 2018, 2019, when they was really sort of in their prime existence. So, but yeah, now obviously his dad saying what he's saying is funny because a bunch of people on the they be on the talking on the socials. Oh, well, I never heard anyone complain about Al not paying them or whatever. And I was like, oh well, I heard Deontay Wilder say that he owed money. I've heard Adrian Broner says he's owed money. Now we've got Garcia Senior talking about he's gonna talk the things soon because we was loyal without a contract and all these kind of stuff. So I'm like, all right, well, now whether they're talking about money or whether they're talking about activity, that's something different. But we all heard about PBC and their stipends. A man them
Mm.
getting given allowance like monthly, like it's a job. You getting your monthly wages and you do what you want to do with the wages after. So yeah, I don't know.
We will see, man. But yeah, that's why I did put him. I did make a conscious effort to say at 140 because 147, no, not really the thing. His last win of any real note was against Jose Benavides, but that's not really something to really write home about. But yeah, man, good fighter, um, and made yeah had a made a career out of it, and made a good honest living.
Yeah, all right. So I think that's pretty much everything. There ain't nothing else we've got to address from this week or this weekend, have we?
Not that I know of, but I will answer this question quickly from Skyliner. Question for Dan: Does Spider Richards go for the payday and call out Ben Whitaker, or carry on down the long road for the world title? Um, I'd say he's going for the long road for the world title. If you're talking about those two options, payday for Whitaker, I'm not sure how much of a payday that would be because Craig has had some very good paydays in his time. So Not
Hold
sure.
on. Let me play advocate for that one. Not angel or devil, but probably what he might mean is that at this stage, because we don't know where Craig is in terms of is he going to be able to get those title shots. Maybe they mean that the most money he can make, like right now, outside of fighting one of the champions, might be to fight a Ben Whitaker. So he probably isn't talking about in terms of his just career, but just in terms of his prospects now.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. I have to get Craig on the channel to ask him. But yeah, Craig he's got his fight locked in now. It will be announced soon, hopefully next week. So yeah, stay tuned for that news, and you're gonna enjoy it.
Okay, well, look, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for rocking with us. We do miss October, but she will be back next week, and like I said, she's chomping at the bit to be back. Make sure you guys obviously go support the channel, October Red Media, I believe it is. Obviously, Danny Glover, Fight Fan TV live on the old YouTube, and Danny Glover FFTV on the old X. Myself, Basic Kid, Hardcore Casual. Um, yeah, I'm going to just to let you lot know. Obviously, Weekend Rap hasn't come out today. I'm going to do it tomorrow, just due to the sort of the timing of this one and just not being able to kind of get it out earlier on today. So I decided let me wait, put it out tomorrow. At least there's just a bit more content on the channel for you guys, and then we'll carry on as normal through from there. But yeah, look, thank you very much for watching. Danny's going to do what he does, and we are going to leave you to enjoy your night before the week ahead.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. It's another one for Fight Talk Live. It's Danny Glover. It's Base the Kid. And remember, guys, persistence beats resistance. You know where it is.